Kookmin University in Seoul, Korea. I'm very excited to connect researchers all around the world. We could share ideas, argue some issues, and find out the solution on the online meeting. It is because we live in a place where we can get relatively good education. Today, my topic is to verify effectiveness of aid to education in official development assistance. As attention is focused on disasters due to the COVID-19 pandemic, investment in education that shows results from a long-term perspective naturally loses interest. However, as the world watches Korea's cultural power and crisis management ability as a role model, each role as an ODA donor cannot be neglected. After Korea became the 29th members of the OECD in 1996, the Korean government continued to rapidly increase the scale of each ODA provision to levels that befit Korea's international status as the first developing country to have joined the ranks of advanced countries. ODA objectives are to promote the economic development and welfare of developing countries. It includes financial and technical assistance given directly to state and local governments of developing countries or to international organizations. Depends on countries, the focusing objects are different. The EU and aims to promote respect for human rights. Korea is to promote many kinds of sub-programs. We call it comprehensive package. Korea's ODA has been primarily concentrated on Asia countries by region of geographical proximity and cultural affinity. While the Korean government seeks to maintain its regional focus on Asia, it is gradually increasing the share of ODA to Africa based on the ODA advancement plan. The increase in budget, aid, and the assessment of effectiveness remains a constant challenge. In particularly, how resources can be allocated by subdividing the aid by sector, considering the characteristics of each country, could be an important issue because it is linked to the effectiveness of aid. Therefore, I examined whether aid by sector and effective for countries in Asia where Korea continues to increase support. I checked previous works. However, there is no consensus among donors and aid agencies as to what factors determine the effectiveness of aid. The ripple effect of aid is due to internal and external environmental factors of any recipient country. In addition, it is difficult to show that the improvement in the vulnerability of some determinants is the inevitable causal effect directly linked to the enhancement of aid effectiveness. So this study estimates to identify the determinants of the living standard levels in 15 Asian countries, focusing particularly on the education aid effect of ODA. I hypothesized the aid to educational by ODA's positive effect on human development along and health life, being knowledgeable and have a decent standard of living. I used the annual ODA grant to recipient countries from Korea 2006 to 2019 for 15 years with aid type as the key independent variable, Human Development Index HDI. From UNDP is dependent a variable that was created to emphasized that people and their capabilities should be the ultimate criteria for assessing the development of a country, not economic growth alone. The HDI can also be used to question national policy choices, asking how two countries with the same level of GNI per capita can end up with different human development outcomes. I used the panel models and overcome the limitation of a missing variable by controlling the estimation errors that occur in the time series process and those that occur in the individual unit. In this study, the pooled OLS models, the fixed effect model and the random effect models were analyzed. I compared the pooled OLS with the fixed model, and through the F-test and the Hausman test was used to compare the fixed effect and random effect. Table 1 shows that dependent variables, the time t 2007 to 2019, and the independent variable and the control variables are the time t-1, t-2, and t-3 reflect the time lag between the aid and the effect. The effectiveness of aid depends on recipient's political circumstance. Political condition is crucial factors in general model of economic growth in developing countries. I use worldwide governance index from World Bank as political factors, control variables. The panel regression and analysis shows that the total amount of ODA has positively significant effect on the HDI, including education and recipient countries. In other words, the higher the aid, the better the quality of life. The effect of sector-specific aid was not significant in the water and sanitation field grant aid. On the other hand, education, health, and public service field aids have effect on the HDI. In particular, the effect of education aid on the national income of developing countries is not significant. Then I applied T-2 and T-3 time lag variables. It shows a statistically significant. It is not linear with a quadratic form. The effectiveness of educational assistance takes time to materialize. The educational sector of the ODA program requires long-term intensive investment, I guess. This study addresses the limitation previous research that analyzed the effect of ODA. The analysis of the economic and social impact of ODA on the basis of the panel data is significant. In other words, social support such as education, medical care, and welfare is more likely to directly affect HDI. Further, it is necessary to carefully explore whether or not there are potential unlivable causal relations between ODA and human development outcomes across countries. In addition, I'm building up whole recipient countries, about 70 countries, for 15 years data by sector and by sub-program. I expect it could show more decent and substantial results. UNDP analysis since mid-March 2020 has uncovered emerging trends in the pandemic's severe impact on peace and development. We know the coronavirus does not discriminate. However, the measure that can take to contain it, The pandemic is hitting the world's poorest and more vulnerable people hardest, with significant implication for marginalized groups. I hope my research is to help them, not any more focus on short-term efficiency. Thank you.
The food security is an important component of Mongolia's national security. Good afternoon, I'm Batoshev, Department of Public Administration and Humanities Senior Lecturer. Food security is an important part of Mongolia's national security and is reflected in the food sector policies and measures adopted by the government. Their implementation food activities at all stages of the food chain, their control and inspection and consumers' satisfaction. The issue of food security is sectoral and universal important, requiring a coordination between government and non-governmental organizations and the sector and active participation and provide sector and important, including universal significations. And number one is stable and balanced food supply. Second, nutritional quality of food. Third one is the safety of raw materials and productions. Products must be ensured at all stages of the food chain. Next slide about the daily food requirement of the typical person is the amount of colors and nutrients required to prepare the components for the basic metabolism, normal functioning of the body's organ system, cell regeneration, and the colors expenditure and the amounts of food to provide them. An amount equivalent 365 days of a person's daily food needs. Recommended amount multiplied by 365 days annual demand for the main food items for of the target population is a product of the number of population compared to the target and the annual food demand per capita. Okay, let's talk about food supply percentages and defined as the ratio of the total annual food supply of a country and annual food needs for a population. Next, access to food means access to adequate and nutrition for food individuals. Next thing about the food consumption is the amount of the food consumed that is a mix caloric, nutritional, and hygienic requirement. Calories and nutrients are the components of the nutrients that are important in the growth and metabolism of the body. There is a recent year cardiovascular and gastrointestinal disease and cancers have become a leading cause of death in the population. Among them, liver, stomach cancer accounted for the highest rate, 53%, which has related to the quality and safety of daily food intake and unhealthy diets. Mongolia's food safety policy and legal environment is based on the Article 16.1 of the Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Mongolia, the basic principles of the right to life, the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights, national security concept, and the state of agricultural policy, food law, food safety law, and other laws and regulations for the activities and legal acts and documents regulating sectoral relations. It is a cross-sectoral, multi-stakeholders process that requires coordination between governmental and non-governmental organizations in the sector, and the activity effect and participation of the private sector. Mongolia has implemented implementing more than 10 projects and programs in the field of food security, national and specific sector, international organizations, and number of the foreign projects. And more than half of the population has lost access to quality, nutritious, healthy, and safe food, which has helped to poor assessment in the region. As a result in relative high level of vitamins, of mineral, and deficiencies in the population, and significant increase in cancer cases indicated that is a time for Mongolia to reconsider and urgently correct a food security system. Suggestion and recommendation of food safety. One, within a legal framework, within a framework to resolve the issues of lunch for primary school students in the field of preschool education by providing only domestic production of products within the legal framework. And we are going to the second section. It is number one. It is a state executive level established and strengthening food control laboratories that are at the border crossing minority implementation of the food productions at all stages of their food chain. Three, about improved food control. Strengthen control over the registration of the origin of important food products. Establish a food drug agency to improve the structure and system of food control. Let's talk about for increase consumers' knowledge and education. Number one, about incorporate food lessons into the general education curriculum to improve consumer knowledge and education. Second, to intensify the activities and revolve the government organization to improve the health and food education of the population. Okay, now I'm going to talk about country's prosperity. Ensuring the neutral boundary of the products and important issues of the public policy is an opportunity for Mongolian constantly improve the quality and nutritional state of the food they eat. Conclusion, only the food which is the most important element of Mongolian life and basic elements meeting the physically needs Mongolians will be fully ensured, and the Mongolian people will be able to serve and provide important foundation Mongolians' expenses. Thank you for your attention.
バス開けて、バス開けて。いいですか？いいですか？本当にありがとうございました。消防自衛隊。朝日先生の回して。関する
これから新生病院に5名搬送する人の情報を送ります。
松岡と 今いるのが
豊子さんがこちら。